Okay, welcome back, and we're looking at the transition in Ekiti. Governor Fayemi has served his second, though not consecutive term, but he's served his 2 terms now, and in place is now Governor Biodun Oyebanji. There's so much that has to be done all over the country, not to talk of just Ekiti here, but even in Ekiti, I recall that, you know, earlier you were talking about back in 2009, they're generating 109 million, not billion, million. 109 million naira back in 2009. You were telling me that this was in the Adebayo Fayose. No, the Fayose Shegoni. Fayose Shegoni. Right up until at the present time, where that 109 million internally generated revenue has now increased to 800. Yeah, there have been months when it has actually nudged a billion. 1 billion, yeah. But still, in terms of what needs to be done, these are infinitesimally small. So they clearly can't be getting by on that. Much improved as the IGR is. They can't be getting by on that. So maybe when I take this call, because Ada in Jos has called in, and Ada doesn't like to be held up. Good morning to you, Ada.
Good morning, Mr. Yori, and your guest there.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about what happened in Ekiti State. And it has broken the jinx, you know. These jinx of, you know, Ekiti people, now, those people, they're fond of doing Shakara Ole jinx. You know, there are people you cannot beat when it comes to elections. But I'm happy now that because of the way Fayemi, you know, I mean, the kind of projects he did there, and the good governance, that was what translated to their being able to succeed. That's having another successor from APC. It hasn't been the trend there. And I like that. That's what it should be. But when it comes to development, let me tell you, the problem with Nigeria is this. If we continue the way we are continuing, no matter who you put there, even if you put AJ Gabriel, nothing will change. Our problem is structural. It's structural. We have to practice fiscal federalism. We structure this country. Let people control their resources, and they pay tax to the center. They can tax them heavily, but let them control. That will make the most governors to think outside the box. You know, there's no state that is not viable. But because of we have allowed them to lazy around. That is the problem. That is the problem with Nigeria. Nothing else. If anybody who goes there now and starts telling us that they're going to restructure this and that, and then they get there tomorrow and they don't restructure, we're going to have the same problem. Take what I'm telling you to the bank. That is the problem we have in Nigeria. We are blessed. We're not naturally blessed, but we are not tapping into those things. Everybody's eyes is on the oil. You say you want to, diversify the economy, but yet your eyes are focused on oil. Your seats prospective for oil. Is it the way to go? Focus attention on non-oil sector, so that we can have more foreign exchange and all that. All kinds of funny policies. Look at what happened in Britain, Mr. Yori. Look at what happened. If they throw us fire the finance minister or whatever. But in Nigeria, is it like that? That's when they're fastening their seatbelts and be telling us all kinds of stories. Okay. Let's not give up on this country. All that shall be well.
Thank you very much, Ada, for calling in. You know, okay. So, in fact, the point that Ada made about everybody being focused on oil, I think the former Emir of Kano, he also made this point over the weekend. He was at some gathering, and it was a criticism that he made that, look, we have to wean ourselves off it. It's a wasting asset, and it's the earlier, the better. But coming into where we, you know, sort of segued off because Ada called in, and we will do it. Anybody that calls in, I'll interrupt myself mid-sentence so that we don't lose those calls. Those calls are an integral part of the program. What are the ideas that he can explore in terms of enhancing 800 million is chicken change, let it be said, in the scale of things?
Yeah. You know, Dr. Fayemi did certain things because it's so easy to criticize. But when you are wearing the shoes, you know how it feels. He reduced the salaries of his aides, and they also cut down his own salary. That was one of the things he did in order to be able to save costs. And I think he also ran a very small cabinet. You know, there are some states where you go, you have about almost 200 aides and all that. So,
and advisors.
Yes, advisors.
I think Governor Wike was telling us that so, somebody said some thousands. He said those are they are, advisors, aides,
So I think one of the things that the new governor needs to do, and I believe that's what he's going to do, he needs a smart, and very swift and efficient cabinet. I know it's not going to be easy because for many politicians, who participate in the election, everybody wants to be given a post.
Yeah, payback time.
Yeah, but you have to look at the overall interest of the people, and he also needs to get people that are honest, people that are driven by the interest of the people. And I'm happy with the little appointments, the few appointments we had made. For instance, he retained the CPS. Everybody knows Oyebode to be very fantastic, very humble, very loyal.
The chief press secretary.
Yeah, and also the chief of staff, Oyebode. Folorunsho Bode, who was former commissioner for agriculture. These are people that are well known, in fact, right from their student days. So if you can keep on that momentum
of bringing creative people. 1 second, please. Let me not keep Mazi Okora for waiting in Arochukwu. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, I guess, in the studio.
Good morning, Mazi.
Thank God today is Monday. Congratulations to Governor Oyebanji. Come on board. I will pray that he will bring everybody together, those opposition parties, his opponents, right from the primary to this very level. Now, for the governor, Fayoshe and the Edo State governor, please, we still remember Fayoshe as the governor infrastructure, stomach infrastructure. I was very happy to see him, Edo State governor. In short, I was thinking maybe it was a PDP affair. It was later I discovered it was an APC government. That is what we talk about, brotherhood and statesmanship and sportsmanship. At least bringing other governors from other political parties to be part and parcel of the swearing ceremony is very, very good. At least they too, in the course of the governance, to do was to contribute their own quota, directly or indirectly, at least for the government, because their state, which is Ekiti State, is their state. It is nobody says that is not our state. No. Contribute, whether you are a past governor or the president. Continuity is what we want in this country. There are systems, an incumbent governor, they are coming, and past governors, you will now be sitting that let's restructure the system. It's not healthy. Wherever the past governor have stopped, please, my brother, do what? Continue. This will make things, at least, to move forward. We have seen how flood is ravaging the country. Today, the world is celebrating Food Day and the elevation of poverty. How do we celebrate food security? How do we celebrate elevation of poverty? Under this type of flood, which everybody knows that each governor has a job to do to make sure anything that will bring flood into within the environment, the 4 walls of the true avert it. Because waiting for subsidy for this gift from Abuja to it will not work. Please, incumbent, the governor, please, I'll just do the needful. Because what Nigeria wants, what the Ekiti State brought, 1, health, education, and what? Security. We are not talking about the economy, but at least you are part and parcel of the educational system. You are part and parcel of our teacher service. Please, let everybody at least have the minimum qualification. If it's possible, if you can afford to pay for exams for students, it will also be encouraged as an educationist. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okoroafo. Back onto this matter about he's going to need to be thinking creatively.
Yeah.
And you've pointed out that, look, you are hopeful that he'll bring in a whole lot of creative people, even as there are pressures to, also do the needful in terms of, well, now we've done our part, you're in office, people would have done that. Not all of them were doing it with a quote-unquote church mind, as we say locally. It's a payback time. But they have them there. People think of Ekiti people as, the brain people. Education is tremendously important to them. You're talking about the current governor being a teacher. So he's going to pay attention to all of that. But is there very much leeway when you see, because when, His Royal Highness, is that the proper way to address the former Emir of Kano? When he was speaking about this point yesterday, he says far too many governments are not able, are not interested in weaning themselves off the Abuja monthly stipend. And that's not going to last us forever. So he's probably going to have to come up with, well, as you said, creative people, but also, creative modus operandi. Policies.
I think, like the governor has said, the new governor, agriculture, and he mentioned agriculture, and I think he just needs to build on the foundation already laid by his predecessor. Because Ekiti has about 6,000 square kilometers of land, and they're one of the most arable land, in the country. So I think it needs to focus more, because if you remember the old Western region, the focus on that time was on cocoa and palm oil. And with that funds, just for 8 years, Awo was able to transform the entire landscape into one of the, fastest growing economy in the world. But one thing that stood Awo out, these days people talk about private public partnership. Awo introduced public community partnership. When you talk about community schools, it started in days of Awo. People on their own were building schools. Carpenters were coming to work free of charge. They were donating, iron sheets. So if we need to go back, because governance is not just about people in power developing communities. People on their own must also own the process. They must be able to participate in development. For instance, the road that passes through your town has a lot of potholes. You don't need to wait for the government. The youth in those communities should take it as a responsibility to patch those roads.
So while the governor and government are doing all that they can, self-help also has its place.
Community partnership, it has a very strategic role to play.
Okay. Sorry for you, because Mr. George has been holding on for a while. Good morning to you, Mr. George in Ikeja.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to Mr. Adeoye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Uncle Yori, what I saw in Ekiti yesterday also was a great happening. It was a good happening. The fact that the new government was able to rally around all previous governors and all those that matters in the state, that tells me that he will be able to build cooperation and bridges. I saw the personalities. There were so many, all those that matters in APC were there. So he should capitalize on that and perform. I don't agree with those who are blaming structures for non-performance. There are some governors that are performing. Is it not the same structure that they are using? It's a bad workman that blames his tools. There's no governor in this country, Uncle Yori, that doesn't have the kind of resources that he can make do with in his own state, provided he is willing to explore them. We have seen, I don't want to be naming governors, but there are many governors in Nigeria that have used what is available in their state to give their people the very best that they can. I want to advise the new governor to work closely with Ondo State governor in terms of security. We see what the Ondo State governor is doing with Amotekun, using it to ensure that there is no infiltration of these bad boys into the southwest. So he that is next to him there should cooperate with him to ensure that that effort is sustained. And I also saw the Asiwaju Tinubu there. You should remember that Asiwaju does not support a non-performer. He puts people in places that he sure can perform. For him to get Asiwaju support, it means you just have to perform. It's just a candid advice I'm giving him. Talking is cheap, but performance is what we want from our leaders. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. That point there, it's not exactly a small one, that he rallied around previous governors, irrespective of their parties. And, it's remarkable. It might not be a big deal to in other climes, but it's remarkable that he said, look, it's like as if he knew that this inauguration is about me, my first day on the job. And it's not a campaign kind of a job. It's not politics. This is now governance. And so all of these people that have been privileged to have been placed in that position to govern over Ekiti. He invited them all in, and there's a symbolism in there. Mr. George was pointing out that it encourages him.
Because there's nothing that happens in Ekiti State that does not affect the neighboring states. If you are talking about crime, you are talking about agriculture, if you are talking about just any, name it. So there is the need for you to understand that, irrespective of political parties, there is the lowest common factor, that brings all of them together. So I'm happy that, I saw Edo State there. Sometimes people commit crime in one state and they run to the other. So you need to share ideas, you need to share, aspirations together, because there is a lot of things that bind you together. And I'm also aware they invited Kogi, though the governor may not be there, but I'm sure he's a representative. So I think it's a good thing that, he did. And even inviting the former governor, there is no way you not learn one or two things from them.
Exactly. And they feel part of an inclusive process.
Yeah, process. So,
so he sort of alerted that, look, these are all, we're all laborers, as it were, in the vineyard of Ekiti development.
And they're indigents of the state. So there's no reason why they should be excluded from the process. And at one point or the other, they were also leaders in that state. So I think he has started on a very good note. And I think he has a lot of goodwill of the people, enjoys a lot of goodwill of the people. And based on his background, his creativity, his knowledge of the state, and the reputation that he has built for himself, since 1999, there has never been any scandal associated with him. And he has been in government. So I think this is a very good opportunity for Ekiti State to build on the foundation that has been laid by Dr. Fayemi.
Now, exactly. And for, Governor Biodun Oyebanji, it's like today is like, if you want, it's the first Monday after the inauguration, so people will still be taking it easy. But it's like from now on, I wouldn't be surprised if within a week, people began to say that, how far, so far, because people are impatient, can't be
impatient. A very critical state, with a lot of educated people.
Yes, and they know that they can take it for granted that he's hit the ground running, Ashwaju was also there.
Quite impressive.
Quite proud.
A lot of inspiration for, for the people there, to see Ashwaju there.
Exactly.
Quite impressive.
And exactly. Okay, Mr. Okeke in Anambra, good morning.
Good morning.
Please go ahead, you're on air now.
Yes, I want to first of all congratulate the people of Ekiti State for the successful takeover of the new governor. So, really congratulate Ekiti people for successful takeover of the new governor. Nigeria is a blessed country. Every other state in Nigeria can easily sustain ourselves. The only problem we have in Nigeria is bad leadership. Ekiti State is an agrarian state. It needs only a good leader to harness the environment for the good of the people. We are very good human beings, very hardworking people, very resourceful people. Why can't they harness what we have? I hope this governor will follow the example of Fayemi and even improve on that, so that the people of Ekiti State will enjoy the dividends of democracy. Moreover, I congratulate him again for inviting even the hard oppositions, people that oppose his politics. I believe he's a good. He has shown good friendship, and I believe they are going to help him if he consult them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okeke, for calling in. Indeed, it's a point worthy of note. We were making that point before you came on, that he's established the fact that he has a good rapport with them. Because if there were any hard feelings, some of those governors wouldn't have attended.
Oh, yeah.
But that they did, you sort of attests to the nature of the man.
One of the most important things you need to develop any state is stability. Everybody talking about Lagos, worldwide, in spite of all the underdevelopment in Nigeria, people make reference to Lagos because there is a kind of continuity. There is a kind of stability.
Exactly.
So you need a stable environment before you can even talk about political and economic development. So I think that's one advantage that the current governor has.
And who can know, who knows Ashwaju's mind, but he was there yesterday, he was there, he was proud. You just spoken about Lagos, you know, you can't really talk about modern Lagos, the development of Lagos without talking about Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The founding father.
Exactly, of the modern.
1999, of the modern.
Exactly, and he was there, very high spirits, so he approves, and I don't know.
And I believe there could be a lot of economic integration, even between Lagos State and Ekiti State. You know, if Lagos State can invest in Kebbi State in rice, I mean, it means it can also do the same thing, you know, in Ekiti State. So it's just putting up our thinking cap to see how we can harness all the potential that we have in terms of regional integration.
That Kebbi rice that you mentioned just now, I don't know, are we seeing that rice? Because Lagos should be awash with that rice. There's a bit of a maybe it's not flowing as we thought it would be flowing.
Maybe I have not monitored what is going on there, but I know there was an investment, and at a time we could see the rise.
Yes.
So maybe because of the distance, maybe because of insecurity, but I mean Ekiti is closer.
Indeed.
So if Kebbi could not offer us, you know, in terms of maximum output, Ekiti should be able to do that.
But at least we have a partnership.
Yeah, I believe the security situation in that part of the country may have affected,
the smooth running of that particular initiative.
Because at the time that thing was conceived, nobody ever thought about, this terrorism.
It would get this back. And just briefly talking about security, Ekiti, crime and other, terrorism-related activities. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a major problem. However, in terms of comparative analysis, Ekiti State is still relatively safe compared with the crisis of the Federation. The problem they have, the crisis is not internally generated. They are, from outsiders, alien interest, who invade the farms, chase away the farmers. And I think there have been tremendous efforts made in terms of the Amotekun, with over 300 people that have been employed. And actually, this process started in 2012. When the government employed 800 people, they were called Peace Corps, who were given intelligence training. Some of them were supposed to go abroad for training to Israel, but unfortunately, the Fayemi government lost that election, so they could not continue. And the government that came in disbanded them, but now we have Amotekun. So I think there should be more intelligence training, and of course, more cooperation with the federal government. As at now, we are not having the required cooperation. You request for drones, but you don't get it because you have to apply to the National Security Advisor. So we need to break down the system so that communities can police their environment more effectively. I think as we have it now, the structure of the federal government in terms of policing communities is a huge hindrance. And I think that's going to affect the coming administration in Ekiti State, no doubt.
So we're going to have to leave it there, Adewale. But again, goodwill. Congratulations to the people of Ekiti State, and in particular, the man at the helm of affairs, the new governor, Biodun Oyebanji. And so we would certainly wish all the people of Ekiti well. Congratulations once again. So we're going to have to leave our program here. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing your insights with us.